They say that talking to yourself is a sign of insanity. But I think that's only if you answer back. Right? Right. This is Talking to Myself, an artist advice podcast where I use anecdotes from my own life to try to make myself a better artist and possibly a better person. Hopefully this is useful to other people as well, but really I'm just trying to avoid paying for therapy. Today on the podcast, I thought we'd talk about going through a rough patch, dealing with difficulties. This has happened plenty of times to most of us, I'm sure, but lately for myself, I've been having a lot of issues. I guess you'd say I've been in a bit of a depression, sort of. I don't like to throw around that term because it has medical connotations, and I don't believe my problems are that bad necessarily, but it has been demotivating, and it's made it difficult to accomplish almost anything. I've had a couple of setbacks that have made my life more difficult recently. Some issues with my car, work has been difficult. Nothing major, plain old normal complaint stuff. And the normal difficulties I have with my art career, or lack thereof. Although I did send some pieces into an online art show, so in a strange way, the isolation and the pandemic quarantine has made it a little easier to get art into a gallery show than it was before. I don't understand how that works, but it has worked. All I had to do is pay the fee and it gets put onto a virtual art show. Now, whether it sells or not, I have no idea. Same thing with any gallery show. I have no idea, or expectation, really. But I feel like in some very small way, I've completed one of the things I plan to do this year through some weird circuitous route. But that's a good thing. I was talking about bad things. And it occurred to me that one of the ways I can deal with these bad things or difficulties, the things that are keeping me from doing things, is to realize that I don't actually know things. Like, I don't have a full understanding of a situation. So therefore, making a judgment based on how I'm feeling at a certain moment is not always the best thing to do. For instance, if I'm thinking to myself, why do I bother making art if I'm never going to be successful at it commercially enough to make it my career? Why am I wasting my time with this? And then I'd have to remind myself, well, I don't know that. The only way to know for sure that I'm not going to be successful at selling art is to not sell any art intentionally. Like to quit making art and quit selling art. That's the only part I actually have control over. So as long as I am not doing that, then it's not something I can accurately predict. It's kind of like choosing to be optimistic, which is not my nature at all. I always felt like being pessimistic would at least mean you were right. If things went poorly, at least you could get the satisfaction of being correct. But that's kind of a cold comfort. I'm trying to turn my feelings of not knowing and wondering and worrying about not knowing into hope of a type. Just in general, how does this relate back to art? We always try to turn it back into an art problem here on the podcast because I'm trying to narrow it down to something specific. In this case, I think it pertains to trying to venture into a topic or a subject or a technique that you have no experience with whatsoever, or something that you've tried maybe once and didn't have very good success with. You're like, well, why would I do that? Because I know I'm no good at it. I think you have to actually try before you can determine whether something's worth the effort or not. It's kind of a catch-22. You can't determine if it's worth the effort until you've already expended the effort. That's just the way it happens to be. I mean, a lot of things seem to be like that. Relationships, making art, anything really. I mean, if anything involves effort, you have to try it before you can determine whether it's worth trying or not, I find. So what I'm going to try to do for my therapy this time is to remind myself that just because something seems to be bad or it's not working out doesn't mean that I know how it's going to end or it's always going to be that way. I don't know that there's not a happy ending in this. So that's the closest I get to hope. That's the closest I get to blind optimism. Close enough. So what am I going to do in the art world to try to mirror this revelation of my own ignorance? I'm going to I'm going to try to branch out. I'm going to try to stop doing the same stuff I'm comfortable doing over and over again. I'm going to try to do things that are different. I'm going to try everything. Maybe something will catch. Maybe something will be... I know this sounds like I'm pandering, and it feels like I'm pandering, but maybe something will be popular enough that it'll spark an interest, and people want it in their home or on their screens or whatever. And I know I keep telling you guys, and myself, that making art for the pure purpose of selling it is not a great idea, not a good way to go. But I think the satisfaction of someone else being interested in it would be good. And I'm not planning on compromising my beliefs or my style or anything like that. I'm still going to make the stuff I want to make. I'm just going to do things, as many things as I can in that vein, and see what becomes interesting to other people. I mean, everybody requires validation. Even the most solitary, hermity artist, such as myself, could use a little validation from now and then. And I've been getting occasional little bursts of validation. It's actually really nice. You post something on Instagram and someone you've never heard of before says, "Hey, that's pretty cool." It makes me happy. It gives me a little bit of fire to keep going. Now, what I'm not going to do is try to tailor my output to achieve that. So if someone says they like something, I'm not going to try to break down the artwork and find out why they like it. Because I'm planning on replicating stuff here. I'm planning on just making a lot of different stuff. And I'm going to get back into branching out into more sculpturally things. I'm working on some art toys, some little action figure things, which will be a lot of fun to make, really. A lot more work than I expected, but it's more of a craft thing than a creative thing as far as I'm doing it, the way I'm doing it. I'm probably doing it wrong. But that might be another way. Maybe there'll be a hit. Who knows? At the very least, diversifying my output will keep me more interested and let me fall less into these doldrums that I slip into sometimes where I don't want to do anything and can't accomplish anything good. Because that's poison, creatively speaking. That will ruin everything. If you get too much in your head, you can't make anything. So, future self, I know you're not going to listen to this, but hopefully saying this will help remind you when the time comes. Just because something is bad or you feel like nothing's happening good, you don't know the future. There's no way that you know what's going to happen. Things are probably going to turn around, or they might not. You don't know. And the only way to find out what happens at the end of the path is to walk it. So, get walking. That's just for myself, by the way. I'm not telling anyone to do anything here. Hopefully you guys got something out of that, maybe. Thank you all very much for listening. This is a bit of a short one, but I'm on a bit of a time crunch right now. Apparently being depressed and not doing anything has caused me to waste all my time not doing anything. Imagine that. Special thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. You guys get to see and hear these a week earlier than everyone else, and you are the shiniest people I know. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you. So everyone take care, and hopefully you can make some stuff. See you next time.